The list of plumbing tasks I created yesterday bore fruit much sooner than expected. Dadang and Asra went to Panambag and bought some supplies, and I thought, okay, well that's good. I'd ordered a whole lot of stuff off Shopee, 6 different items actually, which are not related to this particular task, but are related to the others. And I spotted Dadang and Asra over here at the shed, and I thought, wonder if they're working on that filter. And sure enough, this is the stage we got to. Got the old one off, then tried to hang the new one, and of course discovered that the holes are a different spacing in the back plate, so that made life a bit challenging. Changed the fixed fittings over for the braided hose as suggested. I had actually ordered metal 1 inch to ½ inch adapters from Shopee yesterday, so I kind of anticipated that arrived before we did this particular task, but we'll see if we can get by in the meantime. Water hasn't been turned on at the moment because we're still waiting for the glue to dry on this joint. That's supposed to be good after 10 minutes, but we'll give it a while. But yeah, so one job almost done. I've also ordered a 19 litre pressure tank for replacing that structure. So how we're going to attach that's going to be another question, given that we don't have any surplus length in the pipe here to be able to cut it off and join on. I'm sure Asra will think of something. There's the old filter block. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with that. It's not really much use to anybody with those leaking bleeder valves. So that's a manually switched pump in there currently, although it looks like it has a pressure tank on it. There's no float valve up there, so looks like we're going to take that outlet from the tank and redirect that across to go to the house, or the well, sorry. And Asra is setting up another pump. Well, it looks like that might be additional, so okay, more expensive way of doing the same thing perhaps, but perhaps simpler. As I suspected, that wasn't returned to the shed by Asra. But yeah, so this is what appears to be happening here. Is we have pressure pump which will go over to this pipe here, which goes under the road and pops up over this other side. That may tap into the pipe that goes round to Jubaedah's garden watering stuff around the front. Not sure what else it's doing. As I put forward a plan and I get something that vaguely resembles it sometimes. But probably about time we could turn that water back on over at the shed. Okay, so we're teed into the line that feeds around to Jubaedah's watering system around the front. Hope we've got more in line for this than that, because we also want to get water into that top tank either via the well or directly. So interested to see what happens from here. Well, a couple of hours have gone by and the guys haven't come back here to turn this on, but I reckon I could. So I just have to see which ones of these want to let go. So I will stand back a bit perhaps. we just have to wait a minute for the pump to be energised. We can turn that tap back on. Where are we? Look which way that goes. Goes that way. Okay. We're just filling pipes at this stage. I turned off that tap on the garden in the back. Okay. Rub that air out of those. Nothing's popped off yet. Oh, pressure's coming up. Okay. Okay, so it's the water in here that's making the noise. So I'll go and turn the tap on round the front here, just to get a bit of water through the... I see. Somebody had that turned on. Okay, probably done now. So we're at, what's that? What are the units? PSI, okay, so we're at 22 PSI. That doesn't sound too dangerous. And we have no leaks. So we'll see how we go. My biggest fear is that these will pop off before we get good replacements for these fittings, because these were just something I cobbled together back in Australia for this, not realising that it wasn't a good thread for these connections. Otherwise would have got a proper 1 inch to ½ inch BSP male to male adapter, but they're coming from Shopee now, so we'll rectify that. And my concern was that this would turn out to be too short once we got a shorter adapter in there, but this will flex across, so it's okay. Might be a much drier area here once we have this bit dry up. We'll still get some leakage here, and for now we'll have leakage from that till we replace that with a proper pressure tank. But we're getting there. Okay, the way I'm told this is going to work is there's going to be a pipe feeding up to the top tank. They want to feed the water into the well because that will just stir it up and make it muddy, they think. Oh, disagree, but never mind. Yeah, so to achieve this, the other thing is they want all the water in the back section here, so the toilets and this washing tub feed line and so forth, be powered off this pump in here. So all they need to do that is find the valve that feeds the back section from the lower tank, turn that off and turn that one on. Sounds good to me. There was actually a little bit of drippage from the filter housings, so I just did tighten those up a fraction more. But it's a very, very low level of leakage compared with what we had previously, so I'm okay with it for now. There's often things going on around here. I went over to do the Sunday genset run this morning, and it was dry underneath the filter housing for the first time in a long, long time, so that was good. I didn't really need to, but since we'd been working on it yesterday, but I thought, okay, I'll do my Sunday drain of the pressure accumulator anyway. So while there was no pressure on the filter housing, it actually started dripping from one of the filtering containers, so I gave that a bit more of a crank with the handle, tighten it up a fraction. So I'll go back later and see what the status is. The other thing that's happened is the cable that goes from Lizu's house from the automatic transfer switch that was just coiled up on the tank stand has now been connected into our switchboard inside and tested, and all is well there. So now they have backup power on the house. If the public district network goes off, it'll automatically switch over to using from the off-grid systems. And having done that, Dadang has taken the automatic transfer switch that I set up in a box for him, and that's now mounted on the wall over there, and we're just going to get some black electrical cable to replace that white cable that goes over there, because that won't be UV stable, it'll give up after time. So we'll get a black cable to replace that, hook that in and set up his house so it's got the automatic backup power as well. Meanwhile, the washing machine from Tullamarine has also decided to give up again. Normally when you connect it up to power and turn it on, it goes beep 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 and it flashes the lights. Nothing. So either the power to the control unit's dead or the control unit's dead. So I'll have a look up under the lid sometime, but it's a bit warm at the moment, so I'm going to just unplug that and retreat to my lounge room. But if I can't find something easy to fix, the guys who fixed up the motor last time will invite me back to have another look at it. I should look at online to see whether the control board is a part that's available from Australia, and if so, what it would cost. There's a fair chance that the cost of the part plus freight would be more than the cost of one of these machines, so this one might just get retired. On this Samsung fridge that came from Melbourne, it's acting up again. We replaced the defrost element for the heat exchanger inside, and that rectified that problem. So I just checked the thermometer in there fairly low down, and it said it was 1.2 degrees, which is pretty good. We got it set for 2, but this display has decided, I just want to say there's a problem. It's not actually showing temperatures like it should anymore, but that's not a big problem. We can always plug a thermometer in it and find out what it really is. So yeah. First time I had this fixed in Melbourne, the guy who was repairing it said, yeah, don't expect many years out of it, because fridges nowadays are designed to last pretty much the warranty period. So this one's one I purchased in 2010, so it's probably not long for this world, because 10 to 12 years is about what you can expect. So, and this was a bit of a bugger to get in this room actually, because that's not a very wide doorway. the doors actually had to be taken off the front of this to get it in, and since then what's happened is, because of cracks and damage and what have you, this doorway actually got narrowed because the door got narrowed. So even with the doors off the fridge, it may not come out through there anymore, which will be interesting. It might end up just being a cupboard. The work is largely done for replacing the white cable to Dadang's house with black cable. So currently in the tree. There, it's on the roof. So a bit easier to get at. And the two white cables over there, well, one of them was for a light that used to hang on the middle of the cable over here. They both go back through to one connection up from the switchboard, so it's just a matter of taking the black cable through and connecting it up to that cable that comes up from the switchboard. And that daylight sensor that's up there, that can come down. I don't recall seeing those two cracks in that end cable before. They might be new. Oh well. That's what you get for being in shaky Indonesia. So we've got the black feed cable from the off-grid system at our house feeding into the inputs of the automatic transfer switch, and the lower white cable is currently goes to the cutover switch inside, which can be eliminated, and that goes to the output of the automatic transfer switch into inside, and then we'll disconnect the PLN cable from the cutover switch inside and connect that directly into those top terminals on the automatic transfer switch. Well, that all got finished up and tested and works exactly as it should. So I also created a set of instructions for Asra and Dadang and how to actually make sure the power is turned off to the inside of the house if they need to do some work inside. Because if they just turn off the breaker for the PLN, the wiring inside the house is still going to be live. So they can either switch off the that line from the switchboard in my house, or if they switch the automatic transfer switch to manual mode before they turn off the PLN breaker, it won't automatically switch across to off-grid backup. So hopefully they understood those instructions. But you may note that when Asra mounted that box on the wall, he mounted the box upside down. The screws that hold the faceplate on are not symmetrically spaced top and bottom. So if you try and put the faceplate on right way up, things don't align. And we looked at that and said, yeah, bit of tape at the top, it'll be right. But yeah, one of those little things that would have been better to have had it right, but yeah, could live with it that way. And that black line that runs across the west gable of our house over that gable vent and in through the wall, that's the cable from the automatic transfer switch at Lizu's house. That's not the shortest route, but the cable was just long enough to go that way and reach down to the switchboard. If it had been 2 centimetres shorter, I would have been struggling to connect it properly. So yeah, we made it just. So we appear to be nice and dry underneath the new filter enclosure. I may try and clean up that wall a bit at some stage. I thought that might have been a leak coming through the mounting hole there, but no, that was where the stuff was pouring off the back of the filter housing. So that, yeah, may scrub off. I don't think it will. It seems to be firmly attached. Might take a bit too much elbow grease. But anyway, what I'm over here now for is these parts, these bleeder valves. This is what went wrong on the old housing. Because these went pale and brittle with age and then broke off. So, could be due to sunlight, although I don't see how it would have had sunlight, direct sunlight on it, where it is there, or where it was previously over at the other house. But I figure, okay, bit of protection, a couple of bottle caps over the top. If they blow off, that's okay. I can always get more bottle caps, and then I'll perhaps fix them down somehow. But for now, they're okay. So that's the current state of play. This has been pulled out of service from the front of the house, the north side of the front doorstep. The prop plates have been removed from that, and this watering circuit. But you can see there some of them are missing their red tops. Some of them still remain in place over there are also missing their red tops, so I'm going to harvest a few from here. And of the 6 Shopee orders I mentioned, that's the first one to arrive. That's my 50 metres of hose to run water from here to the house, here being the shed. I came over earlier and swapped out these plastic adapters for the metal ones I bought from Shopee, because they arrived yesterday afternoon, and quite a bit of water was spilled as a result of that, because even though I'd turned off the pump, opened the tap around the front and let the pressure run down until I could then open the vent valve up there was still a lot of water came out both ends when I undid those. So, oops, I just saw a drip. Yes, okay. So now I know I've got to put more Teflon tape on that one sometime. Okay. Yeah, I'll do them both sometime. More Teflon tape, okay. But it's not a fast trip, so I won't rush. Well, it's the next day. I brought a screwdriver out earlier and multimeter, and took the tip off this, and power is definitely reaching the control board. I reseated all connectors on the control board, still dead. So I've told Jubaedah that she can let the guys who fixed it last time have a look at it, but if it needs a new control board, it's history, because they just aren't available anymore. Obsolete. This is more than 20 years old, so bye bye. I came over here earlier and applied more Teflon tape to these to seal them up, and I appear to have been successful. And doing that was a very wet process, because water wants to flow out. Both the pipe that comes out of that wants to flow back for the rest of the building, and the pipe that goes into it. It must flow freely through the pump, and the water level must be higher than this because it was in the tank, because it was just pouring out. But yeah, so that's all sealed up properly now, and it's dried up underneath it. Still going to have this bit of leakage here, because we have a leak through the wall here apparently, and a little bit of leakage around the outlets, plus this thing dripping. And I did find cracks on the east and west end of the building. That's the one for the west end. They mightn't show up, but the floor is fairly crazed now with cracks. Crack across there, crack that way, crack that way, crack that way, crack that way, crack that way. So yeah, there's lots of cracks in the floor. Not a lot to be done about that. Now 19 litre pressure tank is in. Just ordered a 1 inch BSP pipe fitting on Shopee to connect to that. Of course, then I come over here later and realised there was actually a valve that came with the new filter set, which would have fit that. And then we have a fitting for that. So yeah, could have achieved it that way. Next trick is going to be to figure out how to mount that, because it needs to be mounted vertically like that. So I've got to make something that plate with the bolts, flange with the bolts can sit on, and have that mounted to the wall. So we'll see how we go with that. I'm going to think on that a bit. So the east wall crack's a horizontal one. Interesting. Kind of looks like thunderstormy weather. But with humidity at the moment, the feels like it's about 41 degrees. So I'm going to go back to the nice cool lounge room. And when I say nice cool lounge room, it's all relative. Don't know if this will be in focus or not, but it's 49% humidity, 27 degrees, so that's relatively pleasant. I can turn that AC unit there to a lower setting, cool it down a bit more in here if it wasn't capable of cooling it. I actually have another unit over here, which much bigger unit, but that doesn't get run generally. It's only when there's something wrong with the other one, which is not being frequent. That one there is capable of cooling down a room much larger than this, but it also sucks a lot of power. So I use that with moderation. There's always something. This weather station, base station here, is not the one that connects the weather station to the internet. This one is just a spare one I had left over from a unit in Melbourne, which I set up after I got the other one going and reporting to the internet. So this just sits inside here and is a passive unit. Through that wall there is the cage where the genset is, and between the steel and the vertical column in the corner there, and the steel in the window and the cage of the genset, the original base station, when it was sitting here, could no longer see the weather station. It was just too poor a connection. So I moved that outside. That's it up there, sitting in that plastic bag. So in that location, the top of the tank is here. So that's above the top of the tank. So the only thing it's got between it and the weather station is that wall. And that's not too onerous. But this thing's not reporting apparently. No, it actually sees connection. So, okay, so for some reason or other, what's going into the internet is not being picked up. I don't understand. What I can do is just restart this thing. Easier said than done, because I've got that tied in there so that it doesn't, actually that feels like it would pop out easily enough. Okay, so that's removed power from it. Plug that back in. I shall go and get more tape. So that's beep to say it's alive. I'll go and get more tape and tape this down again. Well, at this stage I have to conclude the problem is at underground, because the devices at my end are working okay, and checking my messages, there's another site that the thing can upload to, which is a weather cloud. It actually sends me email alerts when the system goes offline and comes online, and it went offline for a couple of hours this morning, but it did come back. So I'm thinking that Wonderground's not quite so flexible. Yep, problem's definitely at their end. Looking at my weather devices, it says Bakung Apandi 7 online, but then when I actually click on that link there, it comes back and says offline. So yeah, problems at their end. Yep, definitely a Wonderground issue. The base station also connects to Weather Cloud, so I've logged in there and it shows all the numbers. So yeah, just Wonderground. Okay, so that's sorted, sort of. I just gotta wait for Wonderground to wake up. Wow, Wonderground came back online. Looking at the charts, shows it went offline at 10:34 on the 4th and came back at 3:54 on the 6th. So yeah, and the weather station was definitely online most of that time, so that's a Wonderground issue. But anyway, that's all sorted now without me having to do anything more. So I'm gonna put together this week's video, and sorry, but it looks like it's going to be a long one.